Good afternoon, everyone. I'm super excited to spend another hour with you guys. You guys are awesome. Hey, thanks so much for sending in the homework. I got to get back to you guys a little bit. A lot of great things about idea daily schedules, in particular scheduling your vacations. Remember we talked about that last time of scheduling your vacations for 2018, and if you don't schedule that, it means basically saying, I'm not going to have the time or the money to do it. Again, it doesn't have to be an expensive vacation, but plan it. I was on a call with John Davis, and him and I were talking about doing a trip together, and he's like, hey, I'm planning out my entire vacation for 2018. I'll get back to you in a few days on when that's going to work. So it's not just us doing that. I mean, this is coming from, the CEO of the company. It's looking at 2018, how all this stuff happens. So anyways, amazing week for today. So again, I always like to talk about something that's relevant to kind of jumpstart. And this, by the way, we're going to get pretty tactical today, so we're going to get in the business a little bit, which is going to be exciting for some of you guys. So hang on to me. But one of the things I want to make sure that that you guys take away from this, so not just from this class, but one of the things is bringing awareness to something. So you go, okay, what does that mean? What does it mean to bring awareness to something? Well, your job as a leader, whether you are an individual agent or you're leading 300 people, your job is to bring awareness to the lack of results that something's happening, or more awareness to a result to get a bigger result or a better result that you're getting. So what does that mean? So your job, so if you're getting reports, this is going to lead into today, right? If you're getting a daily number, a daily pending number, or a daily listing number, or whatever the number is, or a daily number of contacts you're supposed to make, if that number starts to drop, right, if that number is going down, you have to bring awareness to this and say, okay, well, what are we going to do in order to change this? Is it a call night for everybody? Is it a different lead generation activity? Is it that I need to clear my calendar tomorrow? Oh my God, like people are freaked out when I say that to them, like you need to clear your calendar and just do that. Well, I got all these things on there. Well, none of that should matter if you don't get this done. So clear your calendar. Do you think like those appointments are not going to go like this and that? And you can clear that stuff, right? You can find ways to do it, or you can bundle it up more. You can move around things so you can make sure you have a block of time to bring awareness to whatever it is that you need to change. Without that awareness, the change is not going to happen. We bring a lot of this focus to our HRG and the BlackRock and different companies. Whenever your job is, by the way, you're always going to bring awareness to something. You need to figure out what the goal is for the month or for the week or for the day, and bring awareness to it. And then awareness creates the thoughts and the navigation of how you go out there and achieve those things. So bring that awareness to it. It's going to make a big impact in your life and all aspects of what you're doing. So today we're going to be talking about building a platform, structure, and growth. So buckle up. It's going to be, there's a lot of slides to get through. It's really, some of the stuff in here is awesome, so it's going to get deep. So I'm going to follow the questions on the side, by the way. So if you're listening to this live, then shoot questions in there. I'm going to try to answer them as it goes, so we don't have to necessarily go back to them, so the slide can be there so I can help them. So we're going to talk about building platforms and structure and growth, compensation, all those good things today. Again, Boomtown, we just had a Business Without Limits live, and they came up here and did a great job of working through their platform and their systems. They spend a lot of time investing into our world to make sure we're getting a better return on our leads and what we're doing. So if you haven't checked them out, make sure you get a little bit. Hold on, somebody's having, can't speak a little bit. Yeah, somebody wants me to talk slower. Wow. I actually feel right now, to be honest with you, that I actually am talking slower, so you can imagine how fast I actually talk when it's not there. But I will try to slow it down for you. All right, so build a big business so you can have a big life. That's the reason why we're doing this. I'm just reminding the why as to what we're doing, building a big business so we can have a big life. And in order to have a big life, you need to fund it by money. And it's one of those things where in order to have that and the things that you want, and to be able to invest into the people that you want, because no matter where you are in your career, I'm assuming you'd love to have more leverage, more opportunity in your life, and you're going, well, how do I pay for them? We're going to get into that today, but you're probably going, well, I can't afford them, or how do I get them in my life? Sometimes, by the way, you're going to have to take a risk. You're going to have to take a chance on the hire and then hold them highly accountable to the dollars that you spend to get a result. If you pay somebody $75,000, $100,000, you may not have that laying in the bank right now. You don't have to. that person should give you a return within 30, 60, possibly at most 90 days. You're going to see a major return on this. So just remember that as we get into this. All right, so let's jump right in. What is the difference between company 1 and company 2? Company 1 is the black line, company 2 is the blue line. The purpose of, well, first of all, most of us, I want you to recognize a couple things here. It's 5 to 7 years to build a big business. And I'm not saying a sole proprietorship or a wee business. You can do that really quickly. I'm talking about building a business. It takes 5 to 7 years. Now, why? The main reason why is all the things that are required to build a platform out. Your systems, your people, the vision, your models, all of these things just take time to get through. By the way, you're going to cycle through these things. You're going to fail forward. You're going to make some mistakes. People are going to leave you. You're going to have to fire people. You have to start over a little bit. All of these things are going to show up in your life, and you have to have the resilience to push through. I'm sure most of us on this call, because you invest in yourself in education, have read some books over the last month or so. And what I want you to hear is sometimes when you read those books, you're like, if anybody hasn't read Shoe Dog, by the way, you should definitely read it. It's a great book, Phil Knight. One of the things I love about this is in the book, it may be like, yeah, for 7 years, Phil Knight's lost, $100 million a year, right? I'm just making up the number. But you hear and you go, ah, man, that's a lot. 7 years, he did that. But think about how long 7 years feels like. How long does it feel like for a month if you're losing money? How about 7 years? How about every time you get money, you're investing it back into your business and not taking anything off the table? Because you're building a platform of systems, of people, new technology, right? You have to hear that. It's 5 to 7 years. By the way, that should be an inspiring thought. That should not be something that goes 5 to 7 years. You go, man, I can be anywhere I want to be in 5 years. I just got to build this platform. Think of your platform as the springboard of what jump starts that gives you that ability to hit a geometric curve. The power of geometric curves, or the hockey stick that you can see in this image here, is not because of what you're necessarily doing. It's the accumulation of building up all of these things so that you have this springboard to all of a sudden handle that type of growth. It's why you can handle making $1 million a week at this level, because you've gone through and understand the value of money. You've made mistakes. You've lost money. You've invested more than you ever did in your college education. I mean, I've put millions of dollars back into HRG expansion, right, over the last 7 years. And it's just constantly powering back that in there. So black line is company 1. By the way, do you notice that company 1 is higher than company 2? What happens is company 1 over time, as you start investing and you start pouring back into people and you're allowing people you're starting to succeed through people, the reason why that we to they stage is the hardest one to jump is because when you really truly lead through people, you may go backwards for a period of time. Most likely you will. You're going to go backwards because you're going to go down and you're investing in people and it's not all in your energy, and your costs are increasing because you're hiring more people because you need to go through. You may have to get 2 people for you, right? Because you're so good at what you do. You may have to get 2 people for you. You have 2 listing agents just take the same number of listings that you do. It may be 3 listing agents the same number of listings you do. Either way, you're investing back into people and you're allowing them to fail forward. So you can see right around year 3, you may be actually even with the company 2, and you're waking up every day going, man, I'm spending all this money, I'm taking all this risk, I'm pushing all this in here to build this company, and I'm following all these people. I just feel like I'm in the woods, like what's going on here? I don't feel like I'm gaining anywhere. Company 2 hasn't done any of this. This guy's got a Ferrari now, right? Like he's living his life, and he's just doing all these things, got this cool stuff, and you just want to scream, right? You get to year 3 and you're like, oh, okay, right? This is the embrace to suck. This is the grind, the 5 to 7 years. But what's the difference? What's the difference in company 1 and company 2? Is right around year 4, all of a sudden you wake up and you can see the horizon. It was like Christopher Columbus when he saw land. Like you literally can start to see it and you go, oh, I see the curve. I can see all my people leading. I can see all my people winning. I can feel the momentum. It's like all of a sudden you crested the hill and you're starting to run downhill instead of uphill carrying a 100-pound boulder. Right? You're all of a sudden on wheels in a Mack truck going downhill, right? You are just picking up momentum and throwing people in your bus. This is when you hit year 4, maybe year 3 for some of us, right? Maybe year 5 for some of us. But you're hitting this, now you start to see this climb. That's when you start to break away. Then all of a sudden year 5 comes or year 6 comes, and all of a sudden, boom, you're just trajectory. Every day you feel like you're climbing. And people wake up and they go, man, what happened to Joe over here? Where did he go? How did he do that so fast? Well, Joe has been working on his business and building a platform for the last 5 to 7 years. Write this down. Success is not a single action. Success is accumulation of your daily habits that are going to be produced in the long run to hit your geometric growth. That's what success is. So company 1 invests into their platforms, their systems, and they failed forward massively, right? Company 2 does not. In the end, which one do you want, company 1 or company 2? Is company 1 going to have a much difficult grind in the 5 to 7 years? Yeah, it may get challenging, really challenging. That's how you earn your right. That's how you earn the right to hit your geometric curve. Geometric curves don't just show up and say, let's go, I'm excited. It's accumulation of hard energy, work, awareness, driving people to a single action, making big risks on people, taking and hiring people when you don't even know how you're going to pay for them. That's the difference. That's how you build a massive business that gives you ultimately freedom. That's when you wake up in year 6 and go, I don't have a job anymore, and my job is to make sure I direct the energy of everybody, and I can go train and teach and do anything that I want to do and help pour into my people. I'm no longer in the business. You did it. You're in 5 years. Now it's just keeping the constantly innovation and improvement on that. But that is the difference. Money and time, if you want to hit that geometric curve, you got to build a platform. So let's look at the platform. What is a platform for your business? Models, systems, and structure equals your platform. And then there's an X factor. But your models, your systems, and your structure is your platform, right? So what are models? We're going to break each of these down. Models, visions and belief systems. We'll dive into that. Systems, this is how you execute things. Remember, you don't manage people. You manage a system and you lead people. I feel if you have to manage a person, then you're having the wrong person, or you're just too micromanaging of that individual, unless there's not hitting the results. And then if you're not hitting the results, that's when you absolutely certainly should be micromanaging to ensure that they are. And then structure, right? That's the accountability, the coaching, the training. Think about structure, and I always go back to this analogy. It's like most of us probably played some sort of level of sports, whether in high school or college. And when you played sports, you loved the structure of, hey, maybe you didn't love the structure, but you went and did it anyways. Like I showed up for practice. Everyone else did. I had to run, and man, at the end of practice, I had to do 10 sprints, and then I wanted to throw up, and our coach said we had to do 2 more, and you just did 2 more, and you're like hating him, but deep down, you loved it. And you showed up again. That's the structure that we need to bring to our real estate businesses, right? If you want to take massive territory and build a platform, you've got to bring that same structure and look for those people who want to be in that structure. High school has 900 kids in it. How many kids play football, right? How many kids play soccer? It wasn't for everybody. You got to find your team, right? You got to find your team. And then, by the way, the X factor in this is people. So you have the best models, the best systems, the best structure, you have the best platform, but if you don't have the people to execute on these things, to carry out your vision and your belief system, to execute on all the systems that you put down, and most importantly, to execute on the training, coaching, and accountability, creating that structure. If you have a coach, would you show up? Think about it. In that same example, if your coach was like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna email or text you guys the workout. Why don't you guys go? What would that look like? Some people may show up, but it'd be so disorganized, wouldn't it? Bring that structure. Bring the platform every day. That should be your goal. As you wake up every day, am I building my platform? The platform is what's going to give you the springboard to jump through there. And then the X factor is the people. Do I constantly have the right people to carry out the platform? And everybody is going to have to, in their life, when they're building a big business, if they choose to build a big business, you're going to be faced with the people that you originally hired are not the same people to get to you where you want to go next. It doesn't mean they don't have to leave your team. It just means that they may not be the same level of capacity or even want to. They may not want to give up on you, so they don't want to feel like they're a failure. But ultimately, you may have to help them and say, you know what, I just don't think this is the right feel for you, the right position. You're way too stressed out. You're working too much. You just can't, it's not quite there. And you help guide them to a different seat on the bus, or you help career vision them to another opportunity that's best for them and for you, right? So just remember that as you're building your business and your platform. So what do models look like? So we're going to, next week, actually, we're going to dive really deep on all of these. So this is just kind of an overview. But next week, we're going to dive into real tactics on these things, on models, and some other scoreboard stuff. But for now, what is your model? So you can see ours, like our vision, right, is to live the biggest life possible. It's legacy, influence, freedom, energy. Our mission, we have banners of this in a lot of our locations, is transforming lives through home ownership. By the way, that carries through all my companies, right? Transforming lives through community development and economic activity and fundraising, right? Transforming lives. Our beliefs is we never give up and that there's always a way. So somebody comes to me with a problem, and I say, great, what's our belief system? They say, well, there's always a way. Great. So great, what's your move? Right? What is your move? Remember, the most dangerous position to be in, is when you remain idle under a crisis. Never waste a crisis. When there's a crisis that comes up, there's a problem, there's a solution, boom, that's your opportunity to see who steps up. That's your opportunity to say, what's your move? How are you going to do this? This is through models and systems, right? Your opportunity funnels, how people grow. Remember, most people will never take advantage of the opportunities or the growth that you can provide to somebody, but the reality is they're there for everybody. And as long as people know that their opportunity is there, a lot of people will just say, you know what, I'm really good here. And you need those people. But some of them want to go, how do I get to the next level? How do I bring it to the next level? How do I get to here, right? So your models of your vision, your belief systems, are they everywhere? Are you using your language of transforming lives through home ownership? Is that, I mean, again, for ours, are you constantly using and reiterating that in recruiting appointments and your seller conversations and your team meetings? Does everyone understand that, right? So continue to follow the models that have in there. And we're going to get a little in depth for that next week as well. Systems. All right, so what are your systems, right, for lead generation, your CRM, your accounting software? What is this things, right? When I talk about building on a platform, you should look at this stuff and go, I need these things in here, right? You need a model. What is it spelled out, right? What's your opportunities? These are your models for growth. These are opportunities for CEOs. This is your opportunity for people. Need these models in there. What are your systems for lead generation? What is your system for lead generation? By the way, again, I'm bringing it up here. We're going to dive into this over the next couple of weeks, details, but what is your expanding with for lead generation? And I use the word expanding for taking character. It doesn't mean you actually physically have to expand like expansion. It's how do you want to grow? What is your lead generation method for growing, right? Is it Boomtown that can expand? Is it you're going to farm in a certain area? What is it that you're going to do? Is it you're going to do a call night every week? It can be an activity that you continue to increase the lead generation, right? What is it? What is your accounting software? Is it that you hire a bookkeeper? By the way, most of us can have a bookkeeper come in for less than $100 a month and create cash flow statements, balance sheets, P&Ls, and forecasts if you want them. It's just you got to hire somebody to come in and clean it up. Once it's cleaned up, it'll definitely be less than $100, especially if you use QuickBooks. They can use it online. They can do it. They take it all for you. Make sure you're getting that stuff in there. What kind of dialer systems are you at? Again, I'm just using systems that we use. What transaction management are you using? Right? What is your system for TN? This is why when you go to the platform, it takes time to build this stuff out, right? What is your phone system? What's your physical expireds? What are your showing services? How are you using texting? What's your graphic design? How are you hiring people? What's your system for it? Remember, career visioning is a system. It's a model. You see how you build out these systems and models to be able to follow through, and that's how you build platforms that succeed beyond you. That's it, right? So what are you using to career vision people to have these different things, right? And remember, there is no secret sauce. Find what works for you and your business and that has the best return on investment, the best impact on people. Find these things. And you can talk to a few different people that have different lead generation sources. But most of them are going to have 3 or 4 that are continually producing more and more. And we all are going to say that referrals are a big source of this. So what is your system for it? Is every quarter do you have an outing? What is it that you do? Is it systematized, or is it like, hey, I think we should, provide pumpkins for everybody this year. I think we should have a holiday party. What does it going to look like? Create a system. By the way, do you think Family Reunion and Mega Camp, Gary goes, maybe we should do Mega Camp again next year. Or maybe we should do Coach's Skills Camp again next year. Maybe we should have bowl. I don't know. Do we want to do bowls again next year? It's a system. We all know that it's coming. But think about it. Do we operate the same way in our own business? Do we know that all these things are coming, or is it haphazard? Is there a platform built around these things? That's what you have to understand. So when you're working with yourself or your ops or your admin, you need to start creating these systems. Then you're going to break them, and you're going to break them again, and you're going to continually break them. But after about the third time you break them, you're going to start getting you're going to feel a rhythm for it. Should be able to help out for that. So hopefully that's clear on your systems part of those things. Well, I'm just going to click over here so I can see. So the question is, are you going to give examples that use under systems? So these are examples of systems you would put in place. CRM or lead generation methods, there's 30 different ways to lead generate, right? And lead generation is really just sales, right? It's just, we call it lead generation. It could be handwritten notes. It could be Facebook stalking. It could be going down to Costco and turning your name badge upside down and walking around until somebody goes, hey, your name badge is upside down. Oh, really? I'm in real estate. What do you do, right? All these things are lead generation stuff, right? What is your transaction management? What kind of phone system do you have? Do you use, a dialing system, showing services? This is where you dive in, and you just need to start figuring out what's best for your organization. So if you have a lead generation, then which one is it? We love Boomtown. What's your CRM? What's your accounting software? QuickBooks should probably be your accounting software. Was it Mojo or Vulcan for your dialer system, right? We use Vulcan. Transaction management. I'm going to actually get into transaction management today. But what is it for transaction management? What is your system? And I don't just mean, when I mean system for this, I don't just mean the person executing this. I mean, is it a conveyor belt system, which you'll see in a few minutes, right? Is it set up in a structure so that when a listing comes in, it is literally like, it's like when if you go to Ben & Jerry's to get ice cream, you would expect to have the same flavor of chocolate chip cookie dough no matter where you went, right? If that's your favorite thing. Maybe like brownie sundaes. By the way, they have what's called a Vermonster, and it's literally, it's like $40, and you win like a free t-shirt if you eat it. It's like 4 brownies, a pint of like syrup, whipped cream, like 2 bananas, and literally like 10 scoops of ice cream. And one time I actually tried to eat it, and it's really challenging. So if you ever get to Vermont or you get to Ben & Jerry's and you're feeling really ambitious, try the Vermonster. Anyways, but when you go there, you expect that Vermonster to be the same experience. Are your people doing this? By the way, this is a question that can be answered, and you go, hey, do I let my people do buying and selling? And my answer is, if your hub is set up in a way that you have the same experience for a client, no matter what agent is taking a listing or a buyer, specifically on the listing side, because as soon as you get a listing, it's get emailed to listings@hrg.com. And then boom, that automatically triggers the system that's laid out. It's the platform, how it unrolls. So now what agent produces the listing, the experience through the system, through the models, becomes consistent. The same exact way it would for when you buy if you went and stay at a Hilton, you want the same experience at the Hilton. There's different people operating these things. There's different people operating different Ben & Jerry's. They have the same system. Same McDonald's or Panera, right? It's the same. Think about it from the same angle. We just need to bring that into our world when we're building out our platform. Make sense? Hopefully it does. All right. So structure. Remember, our platform is models, systems, structure. What does structure mean, right? We talked about structure, which is accountability, coaching, and training. Now, coaching and training are 2 different things, right? Coaching is accountability, right? And that links together. Training is how you add value consistently, what you're doing through coaching, but meaning you have to add value to yourself first in order to bring value to anybody else. So if you want to add value to a question that somebody has, what are you doing every day to increase? What's your calendar look like? What does your accountability look like? What does your coaching look like? What does your training look like to make sure you're bringing value to that? And how I like to explain this is that you're creating a cadence of accountability and a culture of learning. A cadence, right? It's the rhythm, right? A cadence of accountability so that the accountability is there. So you're not discriminating your accountability, right? That you're not literally having, you're having one conversation with somebody else, but another conversation because you like this person. You're not discriminating the accountability. And by the way, on this same thing, when you hire somebody, whether it be a director of ops, whether it be a director of sales, whether it be your first admin, your TC, your LM, stop convincing yourself or telling everybody you just made an amazing hire. Where I see most of us get ourselves in trouble with people is that we hire somebody, oh my God, look at this, Adam, I just hired the best person ever. They are the biggest empire builder that I've ever talked to. And great, what empire do they build? Well, they're new into sales or they're new into real estate, but they really knocked it out of the park in the debate team, right? Killed it. And maybe they did. That's awesome. It means that they have the potential to do it, right? When you hire Gary Keller, you can say, dude, I just hired an empire builder because he's built an empire. Congratulations. But the problem is if we talk ourselves into why somebody is great when we hire them, we become lenient with them. We don't hold them to the same standards. We don't have the same tough conversations that we should. By the way, in the first week that you hire somebody, you should go out of your way to have a tough conversation with them. Very respectful, but hey, you know what? This wasn't quite done to how I expected. Let me just walk you through A to Z of how I would expect that to be done in the future. To start setting the expectation that, you know, if a quarterback's not throwing the ball properly, do you think the coach is going to walk up to him and go, dude, what are you doing? You're throwing the ball wrong. It's funny because then we get in the business world and we don't think it's anything like other people. We get it. We understand that too, right? So are people in football. By the way, the same thing in work. People are like, oh my God, you're always working too much. Nobody goes to an athlete and tells an athlete they're working too much. When does that ever come up, by the way? Nobody ever says, oh man, athletes work way too much, right? But yeah, we get in the business world, oh, you need to slow down. Really? You don't say that about athletes? I don't ever hear anybody say that about the president, right? Nobody says they work too much. What about any of that stuff? So anyways, off the topic. All right, cadence of accountability and culture of learning, okay? What does this mean? What's your structure? So I'm going to give you specific examples. Scorecards, right? Next week, by the way, you're going to see our scorecards. It's because we're going to dive really deep into it. I'm just giving you an overview of this. Scorecards. Scorecards are designed, by the way, to provide you with a business snapshot every single day of where the organization's at. And I don't care if you're an individual agent, you should get in the habit of creating and doing this so that you start small to go big. So when you go big, you don't miss that step and your platform gets built out faster and therefore expedites this 5 to 7 years, and you may be on the 3-year curve if you start doing this now, right? Weekly meetings. Look, I hate meetings that are unproductive. So if you schedule 30 minutes for a meeting and you only need 5, you're done. Don't just sit there for 20 or 25 minutes because you've scheduled that block of time. Go do something that's more productive with it. Get that person out of your office. Let them go do something more productive. Right? Weekly meetings. We do a weekly, I'll give you an example. We do a weekly meeting with all of our, because I was doing too many 4-on-1s. Maybe some of you on this call go, man, I don't know how I do way too many 4-on-1s right now, which is 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year, which is basically just a way of keeping people on track, which is important for people to be doing. But maybe you get to a point where you're like, I'm doing too many, and what you can do is you can pull in we do a company, and Adam Hergen runs our company's meeting, which is on Mondays for about 45 minutes, and what the purpose of that is, I think there's 9 people in that meeting now, 9 or 10 people, and the purpose of the meeting is each person goes around the room from all different companies. It gets everybody talking, gets everyone understand what your WIG is, your wildly important goal, which is the WIG meetings, right? Wildly important goal. And then it says, what was it last week? Did you accomplish it? If you didn't, you've got to tell the group that you didn't, right? And these are all high leaders, and they don't allow that. Neither would I, right? If you didn't, how are you going to fix it? And actually, just last week, one of our VP of development's like, by the way, if anybody doesn't hit their WIG this week, they have to go rake the pond. We have this like algae in our pond, and for an hour, and got people motivated. So it's so let them hold that accountability. But in that meeting, what's your wildly important goal? What is it last week that you hit it, and what is it for this week? And that's on Monday. So I know in 45 minutes what all my leaders are supposed to be doing this week, and did they accomplish it? And then there's a recap that goes back to it. Really important, really impactful. I get to see everybody on Mondays. Everyone's talking to each other, and they're not always cordial, right? I mean, look, they're respectful, but sometimes you need to step up. Well, that's unacceptable, and I don't think the rest of the team appreciates that, right? You hit your goal. Step it up. That's affecting everybody in the organization, even if it's just your division or your company. So we mean quarterly reviews, schedule them, right? Schedule your quarterly reviews, your in-house trainings. What are you bringing in to add value in your team meetings, right? Is it training for these things? Your conferences, right? We all know in KW we've got mega camp, family reunion, boom, they're on the books for these particular things, right? Team meetings, this is an important one, especially when you're leading, your real estate team. You need to be bringing something in. The reason why you want to have a team meeting, you should structure it so that the first 15 to 20 minutes of your team meeting, you are teaching something. You are training something to somebody, whether it's a script, whether it's, about, physical growth, whether it's about spiritual growth. You look at your team. You get to decide what you want to teach to somebody. You want to figure out how to drink bone broth and how it's going to heal your gut. Bring that to your team. They may or may not like it. Somebody may go, thanks so much for bringing that up, right? Figure out how you're going to add value in different people's lives to get them thinking differently. That's the first 15, 20 minutes of your team meeting. You need to add value, right? bring value to them. What is it that you're going to do? And by the way, if you get stuck on this, just go Google. You never know Google, like you go on that little Google. Like Google's great. You go on Google and say, inspiration. Type it in. Go type it in of real estate inspiration or real estate sales tips or 7 habits of leaders. Right? Just be creative. And like you'll see 1,000 different articles. Grab one of those articles, read it, highlight it, and then put it in your own words, reference the article and say, hey, I want to talk about this article. I read this. It's really good. By the way, that is the recirculation of energy, the recirculation of thoughts and ideas. Gary Keller, Warren Buffett, all of these guys, when they speak, they're taking energy or information from books and regurgitating in their own words and putting it in a perspective that people can understand them, talking their language. Everyone's doing this, right? Then you develop your own methods from these ideas. So read a couple of these things, figure out what's going to be dressed appropriately, and then put them into it. That's your team meetings. And then your team events. What is it? Is there a team event every month, every quarter? What are you doing? Is it your team event may be a call night? I don't know. Everyone gets together and has pizza. Just what is your structure to create a cadence of accountability and culture of learning? Do you guys understand how this platform is now created and built through the models, the systems, and the structure? When you start implementing, and by the way, you're not going to implement all these things at once. This is why it takes such time to do these things. But this is what I'm trying to bring to you guys. This is how you start creating that springboard so you can hit your geometric growth. That's what I want you guys to understand here. Okay. X factor. We talked a little about this. This is your people, right? This is your people for your X factor. And you don't build a business. You build people, and then people build a business, right? It's exactly what it is. So, building your business. What's your passion? You know, are you a builder, visionary, integrator, right? You may need to hire someone who builds an empire. You have to understand that, who's a visionary, while you run an integrator or vice versa. Most of us are going to fall into one category or another. Most of us are going to be a visionary where we have paralysis when it comes to actually doing something. And by the way, we may be really stressed out or not liking work if we have to be in the operations of our business. If we're a visionary, it actually may feel like somebody's like stabbing us, right? They feel us in there. And somebody on this call just laughed when I said that because they're like, yep, that's me, right? We get that. It's like you're a visionary. You can see it so clearly. You're actually frustrated as to why other people don't see it so clearly. You're like, I don't understand. You're like, dude, you didn't even explain it. Well, how didn't you get this from my osmosis of understanding because I see it so clearly. It's right there in front of us. How can you guys all know? See, I don't even know why I'm even talking, right? It's the visionary. But the thing is with visionaries, you have to understand you've got to have doers. You don't need other visionaries around. Not in the beginning. You need people who are executing your vision. Remember, models, that's your vision. You need people to execute this. You see it clearly. Now, if you're an integrator who wants to know A to Z every single second, and you couldn't imagine, you know, taking the risk or thinking up the big thing, or you just can't quite see it like other people can, and you're frustrated why the visionary doesn't take steps and how it's all loose and there's no structure to it, and it freaks you out because, you know, there's not a system and a checkbox and a process and all these things, and they're like running around loosey-goosey throwing these things out there, and you're like, what is wrong with this person, right? Somebody laughed at that. That's the integrator. So if you need to understand, because we're going to talk comp in a second here, compensation on these people, and we're going to walk through a couple of these things, you've got to understand if you're a visionary or integrator, right? If you're a visionary, you need integrators. You need doers. If you're an integrator, you need to go partner with a visionary because they need you just as much as you need them, by the way. This is a partnership. You need to go hire a director of sales who's got that vision to take it through it, right? And then you can insert yourself where you want to. You got to understand that. But do not open the job, invest in the people, first who, then what. First who, then what. That's going to be key for you. Don't end up with a job. If you ever want to start a different business, which you shouldn't be right now because you can get distracted, but it's always first who, find the who, and then have them build the business. It just works a lot easier that way. But the point of this slide, visionary, integrator, hopefully some of those examples kind of bit with you guys for a little bit. So, what's in the name? We have mega agents, we have showing assistants, we have buyer specialists. Remember, we're building a business here, we're taking territory, we're jumping in this, right? Buyer specialists, you have a lead buyer specialist, you have a listing specialist, you have a lead listing specialist, transaction coordinator, you have a client care specialist, you have a courier for / office assistant, right? And there are a couple slides on just what's in the names here, and we go over this right too as well, but let me just talk a little bit about these right here, and I'll kind of walk you through my thoughts. Mega agent, right? You know, that's just a term that we created. Really, a mega agent, it can be I'm somebody who's just massively in production, right? It can be a mega agent. If you look at the definition of a mega agent, it's somebody who's a capper, really, like a $5 to $10 million producer in most markets, right? Mega agent. It doesn't mean they're a business owner. That just means they're doing a high-level production. Awesome. Showing assistant, right? Showing assistant is somebody who goes out there and is basically, you're listing buyers and you're hiring a showing assistant to show them actual properties. So from that standpoint, you are a listing agent. You just happen to list buyers. And you should list them the same way you would list a house, except for other people showing the house. You have a showing agent showing the properties out there. Now, that's a great way if you don't want to give up all the commission in the beginning, you want to experience and dabbling of your leadership skills, bring somebody in as a showing assistant, and you have them working with them, and make sure you smooth the handoff for those things. I'm going to go over comp for these people, so if you want to know that right now, it's coming up today. Don't worry. Buyer specialist. Buyer specialist, you guys know that. They work with buyers. Lead buyer specialist is somebody who's overseeing a pod or a group of buyer's agents. Now, this is your first way to start providing a leadership opportunity to somebody. So if you have somebody that go, man, this person is great, I can see that they're really good, or I see they have potential to be a good leader, then what you do is you walk over to them and say, Joe, hey, you know what? You've been doing a great job. You're hitting 4, 5, 6 pendings per month, whatever it is. You're doing a good job, and I know you want to grow as a leader. Is that correct? Yeah, I do. Okay, awesome. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go out there and recruit one agent next month. Bring them on the team. I want you to take them under your wing. I'm going to give you a 5 to 10% override on everything they do. But really, I want to see how you, or if you're able to recruit with your influence, and I want to see how you are able to get somebody into production. And then if you succeed at that, then let's talk about a larger role in this. So you're giving them. Then all you're doing is you're painting a structure for them, right? You're giving them the opportunity to go out there and succeed. You're not doing it for them. Now, if they want to role play with you or script with you, that's fine. They've got to do it. And then they can tap into your systems, take your systems, and apply that to get the person successful, but they're leading the person. So you're not doing it. They're doing it. How well they do? Did they not even recruit somebody? Because somebody who's really that wants to go into leadership will find a way to recruit that person. They will. They'll find a way to do it because they want to be in that role. Same thing with the listing specialist. They list properties, and the listing specialist the same way. They're either been on your team for a while and they're a trainer, and maybe you say, okay, now it's opportunity. I've got 4 listing agents, and it's just too much for me. I'm going to combine one and make them a listing agent and put 3 of them underneath them. And if they're existing, maybe you give them like a 5% override. Now, if they're new and the same thing, like you want to give them the experience of, okay, I want you to grow and take these 3 listing agents who aren't really producing and work with them, then maybe a 5 to 10% override from that, right? And then eventually, when you're starting to do all these things, you actually start getting in a position where you start succeeding through other people, small doses at a time, so you don't go out there and fail large, you're failing small, which allows you to keep growing there. Transaction coordination. Again, TC. I want to talk about this in a second, a little bit later in the call, but this is, you need to create the same experience, the same examples I gave you earlier about Ben & Jerry's, or you buy a same pair of shoes in anywhere, they should feel the same way, right? It's the same thing. The TC side should be a conveyor belt system where it's literally the same experience no matter who is the agent on the other end, but the client is getting the same experience. Listing manager, again, listing manager is somebody who is basically a showing agent, if you can see that correlation, just on the listing side. They are, so when I was in production, our listing manager was, they actually they were licensed, which I like. They were coordinating everything. So I would take the listing and I'd give it a listing manager, and they'd manage it until an offer came in. They were handling, they even got to the point they're handling negotiations in terms of price reductions because they're licensed. They're handling all feedback, all client, they're all intake forms. So it basically kept me in the role of being able to go out there and get listings, right? Whether it's 20, 30 listings a month or no matter what we could do, we focus on that. That's the listing manager's responsibility. Dealing with other agents, all that stuff's going on. Client care, again, client care is post-close follow-up. You're making sure that your events are going on time, that after the closings people happen. It's just it's literally like that hospitality, extra air client care specialist. Your courier office assistant, again, they're going to putting signs up. They're going to if not everybody is from Vermont, and you still have to travel to the town office to get the information. They're doing those type of things, or office assistant. Executive assistant, okay. Now, there's been a big kind of jump in executive assistants from assistant to executive assistant, and then you'll see the chief of staff, So executive assistant is somebody who is more still on the assistant side of things, right? They are still executing a lot of things. They're controlling your calendar. They are making your life easier, right? But they're really taking things from the direction from you, right? You set out there and do these things. They're working as of taking things off your plate. They are managing your calendar. They're helping planning trips. They're doing these type of things, right? They're really taking a lot of this stuff off your plate to allow you to focus on being on the business at all times. Your director of ops or chief operating officer, this person should be, when they come in, they are literally creating the structure for all of your operations, right? All of your operations. They are somebody who, in my opinion, has built an organization before. Right. And this person may start getting, these people start getting expensive. I get it, right? I get it. We just made an offer to somebody today, actually, that is really expensive, but has was with a company for 17 years and built it to almost a $500 million company. And we made an offer to her. That's the type of ops person that I need in my life right now, right? Same thing for you. That's your standard for what it is for your operations person. They are building out the system of everything you need for an operational standpoint. They've nailed it. So then you get to graduate to the chief of staff. Now the chief of staff is a leader in your world, right? You have to understand that they are actually if you think about it, think about it from like the West Wing. Has anybody ever watched that show, right? Or even like if you follow politics at all, like the chief of staff is actually more influential than the vice president, right? Because they are the ear, they're next to the executive at all times, but they're providing they're providing leadership structure opportunities to the person. So they're actually providing strategy, and they're helping paint the vision. They're focused on the entire organization and not just you. They're focused on how do they create a better brand and image for all the things that are happening for this. And whereas the executive assistant is more focused directly on you, this person is now graduated to, they are an extension of you. And everything you do, that person needs to know, needs to be understanding. That's why they're there to help out. Now, as you're going through these roles, that person may still have some executive assistant responsibilities until they can hire and shift some responsibilities to other people. But they start now becoming a global leader in your world. So I've seen a lot of people switch to chief of staff titles because it's kind of seen the thing now, right? But remember, that person is somebody who's providing direction, leadership. They're coaching other leadership people in your world. It's when you start getting that build out. Think about, again, as like the president and chief of staff versus an EA. There's big distinctions between the two. So director of expansion. Director of expansion is somebody who is, this is in my view, is overseeing the culture, overseeing, it's similar to a CEO, but they're not quite a CEO yet. They're not taking the massive necessary risk that you are, but they are out there, they're building the culture, they're building and recruiting other talent for other positions in the organization, specifically on the leadership team. They are rounding out things, they're dealing with a lot of the issues that show up in there, they're being proactive on growth, they're pouring into their 5 key people to make sure that they're growing, they're working through communications, they're building the brand of the organization, they are doing webinars, they are training, they are teaching, they're doing at a massive level of all the things that need to happen from an expansion standpoint. Again, I use the word expansion. It doesn't mean that you actually are truly expanding. This is because you're gaining territory on things. You're gaining massive territory on it. Director of growth. Now, so in our world, there's actually be an announcement about we had a director of growth, which is Carrie Heil, and Carrie Heil is moving to director of expansion. We're filling that gap, and that announcement will happen later on this week with who's coming in director of growth. So these 2 positions are timely for me in this conversation. And how I look at this in director of growth, so there's 2 responsibilities when you're growing an organization. One is I want production, so that means tactical training, accountability, coaching, and structure from our CEOs from a production standpoint. How many pendings, how many listings, right? From that side. That's really the focus of our director of growth, director of expansion, and there's going to be recruiting to that too as well. There's always recruiting to both elements, but they're focused on the production of there. They're getting people massively successful. They're pouring into them, right? They are providing them with ideas and solutions. They're holding them highly accountable to these things. They're helping them recruit bigger agents that come over, so it brings more people over. And then, and so that's like the director of growth. And expansion is they're painting everything. They're doing it at a larger level, grand level, to help make the director of growth's job easier to continue to recruit and build up things. You can grow from there. Director of marketing, again, they oversee the entire marketing department. And marketing isn't just flyers. This is email campaigns. This is your past clients. This is follow-ups. This is your brand, social media. All of that falls under director of marketing. Your director of admin, right? This is your hub director. Now, you can call it director of admin or you call him director of operations. Probably not going to be two, or maybe once the level gets large enough, you have director of operations and you have a director of admin underneath that person. But director of admin is really overseeing your hub, which I'm going to break down in a second for you guys. And wow, it's 3:16. All right, team leader, CEO. You understand what this is? This is the person running the organization. They are leading the organization. They're responsible for all of these positions, by the way, including yourself as well too. And that's ultimately what their job is, to get the best people in the best roles, producing the best results. That's really what it is. Now, I want to show you guys something. So when you look at all these titles there, you go like, man, there's like a lot of hires there. Well, let's just break it down in the real world. That's not how it's going to happen. Your showing assistant, buyer specialist, listing specialist may all be one person, right? Your transaction coordinator or your director of admin may be doing LM, client care, office assistant, and TC all in one bundle, right? That person may be one person. Your director of ops may be doing all of everything except for actually showing properties. They may even be showing a system too, right? They may even be showing a property. They may even be listing one, right? They're going to be doing, in the beginning, people are going to be wearing a ton of hats. So just understand that. And what I want to show you guys here is, and I just use this as an example, you have lead generation, you have marketing, TC, buyers or sellers, and working in the business. So essentially you're doing all of these things, right? If you're an individual agent, you're wearing all these hats. So when you hire the next person, you can't expect that it's going to be perfectly in a box, right? You're not there yet. So let's break it down in the real world. What happens is you need to break it down. You need to look at your whole circle like this and say, okay, I need to break it down, whatever the job is, into kind of like bites of like 20%, 20, 25%, right? Either 4 or 5 slices. And say, all right, well, you know what? As soon as we build this up, this is great. I'm going to focus on this, and now I've got some revenue. I need to make a hire. What is the first thing out of my list of these 5 things that I hate to do the most? And then what you do is you hire for it, right? You hire that. So then lead generation. I do not like lead generation, so I have hired a bunch of buyer agents. Again, it can be any one of these things, right? Most likely it's probably like transaction coordination or marketing, but you guys get the picture. This is, by the way, how you walk people through that. If you have one admin, walk them through this example I'm giving you guys right here. So you know what? Your job consists of LM and TC and admin and marketing. You know, when we grow, which is the first one of these things that you want to give up? And they go, TC, okay, great. That's going to be your next hire if it's the right admin person. You following this? So then you go, okay, you know what? I've got that done. All right, now what's my next? I hate marketing. Great. I'm going to hire marketing. Then I'm going to hire a transaction coordinator. And then I'm going to hire a bunch of buyer and seller agents. Again, you can have, this is just an example. You can have any order you want. And then you ultimately end up with you doing 20% that's producing 80% of your results, working on the business and on yourself. This is your goal. This is your organization. These lead generation marketing, these are all people. You keep placing this. They may have people underneath them, and this circle that we just dissected here is going to continue to go beyond just what you're doing with this. So this is how you break it down so that you can see that how you sliver off slices of your job continually throughout the year, months, however fast you can do it. But the faster you can start slicing these things up for you and for other people, the faster your organization is going to build its platform out. Because your platform is a reflection of how many people you can get into these things that can execute these models. And that's ultimately what you need, right? And then you end up with this. You end up with this being on yourself, right? All right, so let's jump in here. 6-level team, right? Here's the thing is why it says 6 level. I don't really think there's anybody in here that's a 7th level team. And the reason why I say that is Gary Keller is not a 7th level individual. And you can ask him, like he's actually said that. He's like 6.5, which means that he didn't, does he have to show up every day? No, he doesn't, right? I mean, does he take weeks off? Of course. But does he work really hard too? Yeah, he does, because he loves what he does. It's not work for him, right? He's just showing up and doing these things. But 7th level is like if you ever invested in like a mutual fund and you just get like a check in the mail or something like that, that's really 7th level, where you're not doing anything except for collecting a check. So I kind of like re-operate in between like this 6th and 6.5 level. But let's just kind of walk you through what a team looks like here in the structure. So there's you. Again, now, if your org chart, as we talked about before, if it's you on here, this is all you, right? This is all you doing everything. But it's you, right? You are not a 7th level team until you have fired yourself and hired a CEO to run your team and are on the bench collecting checks. Remember that. That's 7th level. Now, it doesn't mean we can't get to 6.5 quickly. Executive assistant, most likely it's going to be, and I'm going to walk you through some comp structures in a second, salary plus bonus, right? Lead buyer agent, again, you're 60% to you, 50-50, however you want to do it. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, but ultimately, 60% means that you're going 60% going to the company, 40% going to the agent. I would highly recommend never going beyond 50% for a buyer's agent, because it starts to really not make sense economically. And we've just ran the math and tried different things. Anyways, if you want to, for a lead buyer agent, that override of the other buyer agents that they're leading, right, it should be between 5 and 10%. Now, the reason why you go, well, that's going to put them over 50% is because that's why you can't be paying people 55 or 60% and then pay a 5 to 10% override. And you're going to end up with like a referral fee for doing all that work. So as you start to scale the business, it becomes really hard. In the beginning, it's easy. Yeah, sure, I can get 55%. Yeah, it's not going to be. But as you start to scale your business and need more things, it's different. So just remember that. Now, your lead buyer should be making up on scale too. If you hire a lead buyer agent and you're doing 10 buyer pendings per month, so 120 a year, the expectation is that there's no longer doing 120, you're doing 180 next year. That's why you're investing into the person. You bought a lawnmower and it didn't work. You're like, you know what, I bought it. They're nice. Lowe's is awesome. Love them. Such a nice salesperson, so I'm not going to bring him back. I don't want to bother with him. That's the same. Look, you got to grow, right? You got to grow the team when you're a lead buyer agent. Same thing in lead listing agent. 75% to the company, 25% to you. I think it's really hard to make a lead listing specialist work and anything more than 25 or 30%, especially when you start getting a 5 to 10% override. Especially if you have a lot of incoming leads. If you have incoming leads, again, there's some big teams that are paying their lead listing agents 10% because literally they have so many incoming leads they don't even lead generate. So it depends on where you're at with that, but somewhere around 25, anywhere between 10 and 30% on the listing side. Lead listing agent, again, that same 5 to 10% override. But again, the key here is they have to grow it. TC, salary, you can do a salary or you can do a salary plus, 25, 50 bucks per closing. And, there's different things you could do to help them. Same thing on the listing manager side, how many listings get through to a close, or you could do some sort of like Hively stat, which is what we do. If you ever got an email from us that says, rank, how did I do today? And it's like smiley, unsmiley, or like a super smile face. And we look at those religiously to see how many we're actually getting first, and then what is the feedback from that, so you can structure a bonus around that. Again, buyer specialist 60-40 or 50-50, showing specialist 5 to 15% depending on what they're doing. And again, the same thing on the listing specialist there. Hourly, courier or office could be hourly. It could be a full-time person. If you understand it, maybe a car stipend instead of mileage. Like that whole mileage thing, like 50 cents a mile adds up a lot, right? You may just buy them a car, or you may give them like a $250 stipend per month, and they drive around and they have to do it all themselves. So different ways to do that. Listing coordinator. Again, mostly is on a salary for these things too. All right, so when you start to expand here, right, you start to look at your expansion team. Why do people love the West Wing? So when you look at the expansion team, so you have you and you have the CEO, Director of Expansion, right, that's directing the team. Now remember, you may have your home team that needs to have a CEO, and then you have expansion. You should, if you start to really expand or take territory of these things and you want to get outside your geographic location, you still need to put somebody who's in your current location who's running that company, and you need another person who's running expansion. They're not the same person. I've seen it too many times. They've taken the person running that team, trying to expand, and it dilutes their energy, and they start losing on the team. So before that person, or if you want to give up on that team and you want to go expand, then you better have your replacement there. There better be somebody there running your team. I made that mistake, and it cost me about 2 years of growth because of that, until I finally moved somebody over here from Alaska to take over the whole thing. So again, then you're looking at this, Director of Marketing and Lead Gen, your Director of Ops, your Director of Growth, your Director of Administration, right? You can start to see all these things that are here. You're looking at Lead Listing Manager, your Director of Administration, which is Director of Finance. Again, this is kind of the overview of how you can build these things out over time, using the model of, you're slithering things away at a time, 20% at a time. Like you're like, you know, it's like, anybody have like a cake before, like you just don't want to cut a piece because you don't want the whole cake, but you start slithering a piece away. Next thing you know, you realize you ate like half a cake, right? Am I the only one that's done that? I don't know. But that's the part of the slithering away the job, is you start giving them a little piece to somebody else, and then you hire somebody else here, and then ultimately you realize that half their jobs move to somebody else. That's when you start to leverage. That's your platform that you're building, right? That becomes it. All right. So your administrative division, what does it look like? If you're launch coordinator, somebody who's launching new agents constantly, that's, and you really want to, when you're looking at this, you have to have a launch coordinator. Again, this may be the same person, right? They could be doing launch and listing, depending on the size, but then you take that slithering away philosophy and start adding it to your teams. Onboarding, questions, concerns, signage, business cards, emails, roll-in submissions, setups, tech support, agent care, Boomtown setup, SOI collection, so we can start marketing there. Listing management, MLS entry, market center paperwork, all analytics marketing, brochures, homebooks, flyers, price reduction, open houses, anything that happens with listings that needs back end, that they're handling, the same client interactions, experiences, it becomes the same. Think Ben and Jerry's, right? All right, administrative division, the same thing, the marketing side, lead generation, collateral. This is all collateral. Because, by the way, you should launch a monthly initiative, whether you have 1 agent or 30. You should have your monthly initiative going on so that your the collateral that you launch is the same and consistent for everybody that utilize that for the next 30 days. That's going to be a key thing for you guys. Door knock, flyers, copy editing, social media, marketing systems, and your cold list if you need names to do it. And then TC is the same thing. Gathering all transaction documentation, then contract details, send reminders on dates, verifying coordinating closing dates, green sheets, closing gifts, closing questions, concerns, post-closing follow-up. All that stuff is a system, and it gets rolled out, part of your TM, your transaction management process. This is all about your platform, remember this. All about the platform. All right, so how do you pay these talent, right? How do you pay it? So there's a couple different options here that you can see here. Commission only, again, we are all familiar with that. Then you have your base plus commission, which, by the way, you have to understand that the rest of the world pays real estate agents base plus a small commission. Some of you guys may know that, but North America is really the only geographic area that pays people a commission for real estate. It's fascinating. We may see more of that moved towards a commission and a base as the years continue. But base plus commission plus bonus, maybe a profit bonus. By the way, when we get into profit, I like paying people on profit above and beyond what the company currently has. So if you're netting 100 grand a year and you bring somebody on, you may say that I'm going to pay you 5 or 10% of the profit above $100,000 because we're already making that. Right? They're not paying on there. But the bonus should be on above profit, and it should be on after some of that money is made to you. Then you just have straight salary. You have profit sharing, right? We all know what profit sharing is, KW. Profit interest just means that you are getting an interest of profits. So that's a 10% of the interest of profits paid quarterly or monthly, however you want to do that. You have stock options in your company. You can actually give equity in your company, or I like to vest equity. So meaning, okay, if you're allotted 5%, but you don't get it until you stay with the company for 5 years. And if you stay with the company for another 5 years, for 10, you get another 5%. Anytime you leave throughout that 10 years, your shares automatically revert back to me at zero cost, or at market value, paid back 10% down, the rest of it's financed. By the way, that's how Gary set up his stuff, and he's bought people back out from that thing. It's how you set up a platform to take advantage of when you get massively large, right? And then you have your set-aside money. That's to set aside money for the things that you're doing for those things. All right, so how do you fire yourself? How do you fire your? This is the key. People are continuing like, I want to build a business. I want to take territory. I want to continue to grab these things. So how do I fire myself? You've got to have the talent, leaders, and empire builders around you, right? And then you have to make the commitment that you do that, that you're just, you know what, I'm just done. I'm just not, I have to commit to succeeding through people. I am going to be obsessed with making other people filthy rich, right? You got to get through there. Step 2, find your replacement. Watch and listen. Who's stepping up to earn the right? Remember, this isn't like you pull people up the hill. This is you running, and you're seeing who comes run with you. Who's stepping up? Who's doing the extra things? You guys all know what that looks like. You're seeing it happen, right? And step 3, coach and hold your replacement accountable, right? Remove yourself from the day-to-day operations, but you're holding the person accountable to your role, stepping in there to see the growth. And they better be better at you at the role you've hired them for. Remember, you're doing all of these roles. So when you hire somebody, they're not better They don't need to be better than you at what you're doing. They need to be better at you for the role that you've assigned to them. Does that make sense? They need to be better at that than you. Your step 4, weekly meetings with replacements. So you start shifting other people underneath people to start creating hierarchy. And then you fire yourself, right? Your job becomes reading, thinking, personal development, sharing the vision, setting the direction, coaching, leadership accountability. And this is where you gain clarity on your organization and where you want to go. This is where you literally can really focus on the organization for these things. So that's how the steps to really firing yourself. Okay, so a little bit of homework. Evaluating current team structure. And what I want you to do is walk everybody through that little circle thing that we did. Remember, think about slithering the cake. So I told you, and maybe you liked it, maybe you didn't, but it'll help resonate with you and stick with you. So it's like, you slither a cake away. It's the same thing with a job. What is, break it down into 4 to 5 different segments of what their key components are and which part do you want to give up. And maybe you've already done that. If you're a larger team and they only have 2 or 3 components, then what is the next component they want to make up? Then you focus on them and say, great, you go out there and start building a bench for this. You start succeeding. You start doing this. You get them the career visioning. Start teaching them. What does it look to interview? They need to learn how to lead. And I want to know who your next hire is. Who's the next person that you're looking for? They may be right in front of you. And you may not be quite there this week, but next week you may get a couple deals and go, you know what, I need to hire that person. I need to take this money and invest it into a person. That's the smartest thing you can do. Then you make that hire. It's going to be scary when you make these hires. When you build a platform, and that's going to be your growth to building an empire, taking massive territory, is going to be how well you execute on building this platform. It's all the things that we walk through. We're going to dive deeper into a couple of these things as I share with you, but it's all about building that platform. That platform becomes the springboard for how you hit a geometric curve, and it becomes with you slithering away with hires. Think about, is there any large organization that you know, or mostly massively successful organization with 2 people? How about 10 people? How about 3 people? How about Tesla? How many people do they have? How about Google? 30,000 employees, right? Apple, right? Think about any major organization you have. They all have, what do they have? A ton of people. You don't think they went through the same thing that you did? You don't think they're going through the same thing like, man, I don't know how I'm going to pay this person. A lot of them went and got venture capital money. That's why they go do 3 rounds of something. They're not making money. If they're making money, then they wouldn't need to go to get venture capital, right? The reason why they're going to venture capital is because they're taking all their money and reinvesting it back into people, into their platform, in order to hit that geometric curve, and then you no longer need any money there. That's the growth path from company 1 to company 2. And you're company 1, and you're going to hit that growth through building your platform. So let's focus on that, and let me know who your next hire is. I know we're a few minutes late, so all right, awesome. You guys rock. Thank you so much, and let us know as always if you have any questions. See you later.